Welcome back. In this second video, I'll be revealing 3 strategies to help you wake and re-engage with the networks that are already under your nose. And I'll be showing you how to do so in ways that will help isolate a type of potential customer or client called the hyper-responsive. And while doing this, you will learn how to avoid those scaredy cat clients while positioning you and your business as an authority, as the prize. Now, that's a lot to cover and we're going to go deep. But if you haven't yet watched video 1, I suggest that you go back and watch it, because in that video, I show you how to unlock the network already under your nose. But I also want to take a moment to share a short and private and slightly personal story with you here right now, because I already know a bit about you, about the challenges you face and the roadblocks that are setting you back, because chances are you have already completed a short survey or a diagnostic of mine already. But I think it's important that you know a little bit about me also and how I got to this point standing in front of a camera here today, because my first big entrepreneurial venture was a business magazine made of paper and ink, delivered to the office and homes of small business owners right across my home country, Australia. I started that business when I was 26 years of age from my parents' suburban home, and I bankrolled it using personal credit cards and savings. And for the first 5 years, I was smashing it. It was a smashing success. Grew to a size where I was nipping at the heels of industry leaders who'd been around for decades. It was winning awards. I was named Best Small Publisher in Australia twice in my 20s. The business had 3 revenue streams: retail sales, where it was sold in drugstores, newsstands, airports, bookstores, places like Barnes & Noble, Borders. Remember Borders? We sold subscriptions, which allowed me to hone my direct marketing skills, but most of our income came from advertising packages. In fact, it could be said that retail sales and subscription sales were merely props to support the sale of advertising packages. And I gotta tell you, whatever industry you are in, whatever you are selling, whether it's a product or a complex service, one of the hardest things to ever sell is an advertising package. The options for advertising are endless, which means that competition is rife and undercutting practices are fierce. And way back then, most advertising options couldn't be measured, at least with any real or defensible accuracy. So that's how I cut my teeth. That's how I honed my old school sales and marketing skills, because for 5 years, I hustled. I employed sales and marketing managers, but as top dog, I hustled every day. As the passionate business owner, I was the best at opening doors. I was the best at closing. I was the best of the best, which is often the way in small businesses. But it almost killed me. I almost sent myself quite literally into an early and permanent retirement. Because the year was 2008, the global financial crisis was taking shape, but had not yet achieved its full devastating impact. It was a cloud on the horizon, and I found myself one day manning a trade booth at a trade show, because I was the best of the best in my small team, and I bent to pick up a box and pop. I found myself in agonizing pain. The pain was so agonizingly debilitating that I was taken to hospital, where a specialist told me that I would need to undergo emergency surgery. I had broken my back. I was that ground down, that physically exhausted, that a very important part of my body had just given up. I was told that there was a 1 in 20 chance I would never walk again. And also there was a 1 in 20 chance that my man parts, yes, you heard me correctly, that my man parts would no longer work. Yes, this was seriously frightening stuff. But as you can see, I recovered. All my parts thankfully work. My wife is very grateful for the wonderful surgeon who fixed my spine. But it took me 6 long months of recovery, stuck in a dark room like a tomb, slowly mending. And then it took a few more years to get back to the way that I am today. It was an awful and frightening time, because I need to ask you, if something like that happened to you, what would happen to your business? If you were removed absolutely and completely, what would be the impact that this would have on your staff, on your family, on your livelihood? Would your business manage to hobble along without you? Would it simply fail and cease to be like the countless businesses that close every day for all sorts of unseeable, unplanned reasons? Well, for me, it was a very close call. It was terrifying. Every day I wondered whether I was about to lose it all, lose my health and the business that I had worked so hard to build over 5 incredibly exciting but incredibly demanding years. I'd put everything into this business. I had no backup. And for many months, it was touch and go. But I learned something important, a really important lesson at this time. Because my staff would call me from the office to ask a question every now and then, and I would croak my feedback. And at the beginning, my feedback was specific to the challenge or the problem at hand. But over time, I began to notice themes among the situations and the questions I was being asked. And of course, this led to an epiphany, because when there is a theme, you can create a rule. In situation A, take action B. And if you have themes and rules, you can create systems. And when you have systems, anyone can do the job. You don't need to be the best of the best. Can you see where I am heading with this? Because within 3 short years, I had reinvented the business and rebuilt my body. That took a little bit longer. And thankfully, my wife and I had our first child, a baby boy. And when he was born, I decided to only work 3 days a week. And I could do that because I discovered the power of systems. Systems help you delegate. Systems help you automate. Systems equal freedom. Systems equal sanity. So I promised to share 3 ways to wake and re-engage your sleeping networks, because what's the cheapest form of client acquisition? That's right, re-engaging with existing customers and clients. And what's the best way to find and empower advocates, champions, and referral partners? Don't fail to follow up and engage with the database already under your nose, and that includes your personal network. So let's look at 3 ways to wake those audiences already under your nose. But first, in video 1, I talked about consolidating your list. I also asked, is it okay just to add those people to your company email newsletter list? Well, the simple answer is that, according to most spam laws in most countries, it is perfectly okay in each of the scenarios that I talked about to do just that. It's legally okay to do that, to export those audiences and import those lists into your company email newsletter. You'll infuriate a lot of people. You'll receive a bunch of angry emails and complaints. It's indeed terrible form, but it's legal in most countries at least. In Canada, it's a bit different, and I'm not a lawyer, so don't rely on this video as a substitute for legal advice, but at the end of the day, in most places, it's legal to mail to those lists, but most people will hate you. The challenge, therefore, is to do so in ways that won't infuriate and won't alienate and won't make you look like a spammer, even when you are obeying the law. Rather, it's your mission, our mission right now, to re-engage, to reactivate your dormant network in ways that will delight. So here are 3 ways to do just that. The first is called the event. What's an event? An event is a simple thing. It's an event. It's something that happens. It's an event. It could be you are hosting a physical event, like a live event. Maybe it's a trade show. Maybe it's a seminar. Maybe it's a workshop. It could be a webinar. An event can also be an announcement where your business is going off in a different direction. Maybe you've pivoted. Maybe you have a new product or service that you'd like to introduce your network to. But in its pure essence, we are talking about an event, which is why this number 1 here is a really solid reactivation strategy, because when you send an announcement announcing your event, the recipients of that email are not going to assume that you are going to be sending to them every month, every week, every day. The second reactivation strategy that I have right here is something that I call the gift. This is where you know your target audience and you send them a gift of high perceived value to that target audience. That could be something like an ebook, a recorded webinar, a free product, or a free service, but it must be a gift. It must be something free and it must be perceived to be free. Once again, if you do this not too often, maybe 2 to 4 times a year, your network will thank you because it is a gift. Now the challenge with these two reactivation strategies is that you're probably not holding an event often. You might not be holding an event and have no plans to hold an event, so this particular strategy might not be appropriate for you. The gift, well, you need something to give away. Now, if that's going to be a white paper or an opt-in gift or a cheat sheet, you're going to need to create something of high perceived value and probably also have a landing page and some sort of follow-up email sequence to put something like that strategy together. So what's number 3? Now, number 3 is my favorite because you don't need much setup to make it happen, and also you don't need to have an upcoming event to hang this strategy off. What do you think your customers and clients care about above all else? What do you think that they care about above all else? I can tell you the answer with a high degree of certainty. Here's what they care about above all else, and that is themselves. Always they want to know what's in it for me. So it's your job, it's your responsibility, it's your duty to show that you care, to show that you've been thinking about your networks, and that is a powerful way to open your list by simply demonstrating that you care. And a simple and highly effective way to do just that is to conduct a survey. Now, the beauty of a survey is that it can be used to not only demonstrate that you care, it can also be used to identify the hyper-responsive. Now, these are people and organizations that need what you have, like right now. It also helps you get clarity when it comes to avoiding the scaredy cat clients, and the responses can also help you understand the real needs of potential customers and clients, so you can start speaking their language and maybe even decide to specialize. But producing a highly effective survey requires a bit of know-how and finesse. For example, one of my hot tips is to never call a survey a survey. Call it a checklist, call it a quiz, call it a diagnostic. Just don't call it a survey, because no one likes to do surveys, but we all love a quiz. Of course, there are some questions that you might want to use in your prospect fielding, client waking, partner finding survey, and there are some tech tools that are more helpful than others. So that's what we'll be addressing in the 3rd video, which is kinda the final video in the sequence, where we open door number 3, because I've seen a lot of dud reactivation campaigns. I've seen a lot of really badly executed surveys, and that's not what I want for you. Plus, in this last video, I want to talk about elevation. Let's amplify your authority and start to position you as the prize rather than just another needy hustler. And of course, if I said something in this video that struck a chord, if I shared a lesson that you need to take on board, please, please, please leave a comment below. You'll be reinforcing the lesson and you'll be helping others. Then click the button that's somewhere on this page to unlock video 3. See you soon.